Καλησπέρα σας, καλοί φίλοι τηλεθεατές. Καλώς ορίσατε στην εκπομπή μας Faces, πρόσωπα. Πριν προχωρήσω παρακάτω, να μου επιτρέψετε να πω ένα μεγάλο ευχαριστώ στον χορηγό μας, τον κύριο Μελή Ούρης και τους δύο οίκους ευγυρίας, Αναστάσια Lodge and Autumn Gardens. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Και θα καλωσορίσω αμέσως δύο πρόσωπα φιλοξενώ απόψε. Και θα καλωσορίσω πρώτη την Professor Cristiana Gregoriou. Καλησπέρα σας.
Καλησπέρα.
Ευχαριστώ που είστε μαζί μας απόψε για να μάθουμε περισσότερα για εσάς και για ένα πολύ ενδιαφέρον θέμα, μια θεατρική παράσταση την οποία παρακολουθήσαμε πρόσφατα και μας ενθουσίασε. Και καλησπέρα στον Professor George Rodosthenous. Καλησπέρα Γιώργο.
Καλησπέρα και από μένα. Χαίρομαι πολύ που είμαστε μαζί απόψε.
Και εμείς χαιρόμαστε. Χάρηκα για την γνωριμία, χάρηκα που γνωριστήκαμε εκεί στο Θέατρο Τέχνης, που είχατε παρουσιάσει αυτή την πολύ ενδιαφέρον παράσταση. Θα μιλήσουμε για την παράσταση λίγο πιο ύστερα. Προς το παρόν, να μου επιτρέψετε να κάνω ένα ταξιδάκι, νοερό ταξίδι, και με τους δυο σας, ξεχωριστά όμως, για να μάθω περισσότερα. And I want to turn to English, if it's possible. I mean, if you prefer in English, we can turn to English. And I would like you to ask Cristiana, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, where you born, school days, family, and a little bit about your studies,
Yeah, thank you so much. I was born in Nicosia, Cyprus in the late 70s. I went to a public school and I graduated from Lyceum Dasoupolis. And I landed in the UK in the mid-1990s to study English language at Lancaster University. That was my first degree. I then moved over to Nottingham for my master's in English language and literary studies. And then I did my PhD at the same institution in Nottingham for a 3 or 4 year period. My PhD was in contemporary crime fiction, but I was again interested in this relationship between language and literature. I was exploring the linguistic nature of texts that had to do with crime. And since graduating from my PhD in 2004, I've been in Leeds, UK, the same institution as George, and I'm professor of stylistics and English language at the School of English of the university ever since.
Very interesting, yes. And can I ask you, George, tell us about yourself, a little bit about yourself, yes?
Yes, I was born in Famagusta, but I've lived until the age of 20 in Dasoupolis, Nicosia. I went to the English school in Nicosia and I graduated at the age of 18. Then I went for 2 years for my military service. And then I went to Cardiff for 3 years to do my bachelor's in music composition. I continued at the University of Bristol for my master's in music for film, TV, and theatre. And then I came with a scholarship at the University of Leeds to do a PhD in music theatre. After getting the PhD in 2002, I was offered a job at the School of Performance and Cultural Industries, and I've been there ever since. So I've been in Leeds for 28 years now.
Oh my God, yes. It's a long time. So you're born in Famagusta, yes?
Yes, I was just born for 1 day in Famagusta. Our doctor was at that hospital.
And do you have any, anything to remind you about Famagusta?
Only when we visited with my family, maybe 15 years ago, when I went to the hospital where I was born. As I said, I was just there for 1 day, and it was a very, very emotional day. We went to the theater of Soli, and to Geringa, and to also Bellabais, and that was the only time I visited Famagusta. So it was a very emotional day, but yeah, that's all I remember from that.
Yes. It's very interesting, yes. I mean, we can talk about Famagusta for a longer time, but unfortunately, we haven't got much time. And I like to turn to Cristiana again and ask you, Cristiana, about the play we have the opportunity to watch at Teatro Technis for the week organized by Teatro Technis dedicated to Cyprus. It was a play that very, very interesting because it was about a book written from your grandfather.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, and he wrote a book about his life as a prisoner during
Yes, absolutely.
the Second World War, yes?
Yes, yeah. So I was basically drawn to the World War II prisoner of war experience, having grown up listening to my grandfather, Fylaktis Aristokleuses, oral war captivity accounts, whilst he was actually writing his own memoir of that period. I've got a copy of it here in front of me. So you can see it's a book-long account. But what George and I did was dramatize some stories we selected from these memoirs for the stage, which we have had translated from Greek to English and dramatized appropriately with an eye to a non-Greek audience of theater goers, if you like. So I'm currently writing a book about the language and life narrativization of these kinds of accounts. My grandfather's book is my pilot study, is the book I start analyzing. And what we're trying to do with this dramatization is shed some light on the nature of that experience, but also understand what kind of stories we tell, what is the nature of these stories, both linguistically and psychologically, what is the point of storytelling, and essentially trying to make sense of the nature of that negative experience, while is recounting that experience to different kinds of audiences.
Okay, George, you decided, to direct this. You work together to write the stories, or you wrote it, Cristiana, and then George took over to direct it, or you work together to write it?
Cristiana approached me maybe a year and a half ago with the memoir, and she did a fantastic presentation sharing with me all of the themes and how it works, and I was absolutely fascinated. So I've read the entire memoir, and what we did together is we identified 50 stories which we got translated into English by Maria Ioli-Karolidou. And then I sat down and selected 25 of those 50 stories and tried to have a narrative arc. So I thought about the dramaturgy divided into different themes, whether it's the hygiene, whether it's the body, whether it's love. And also what really attracted me to this is the stories about theater. As you might recall from the showing at the Teatro Technis, there is one story that talks very much about how the war prisoners were putting on plays, and also the commandant used to attend those plays. And one of them was, of course, Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice. So what we've got there is a very political play, which the Germans wanted to use as political propaganda, but obviously the audiences of the other war prisoners enjoyed it very, very much. There was obviously cross-dressing, and they used anything they found to create the costumes, whether that's bed sheets, pillows, anything they could find. And what really fascinates me is that also that those costumes were later on used to escape. So there are a couple of stories about prisoners using these costumes to escape. And also another little incident is that the Germans themselves provided some of these costumes from the State Theatre of Berlin. So we've got there an excellent association between the Cypriots and the performing arts. But also another aspect that really attracted me is the fact that they had very much aspects of the Cypriot identity there. They had performances of Karagiozis. So this really helped them feel together and feel that they belonged together in that camp. And Cristiana, by selecting this project, I think what she has really managed to do is to decolonize the canon of war memoirs, and is able to allow for those Cypriot stories to be heard and shared in a way which is rather new, because we've all heard war stories from the camps, but these ones are specifically and very much explicitly Cypriot stories.
Uh-huh. Okay, so when everything was ready, you decided to, you did this for the university, I mean, to perform it at the university, or was the plan was just to do it for the university, and you decided to take it somewhere else, yes?
The project was funded by what was called the Impact Acceleration Account. Essentially, one of the agendas of the universities in the UK at the moment is to share research outside the academic remit. So it was important to take research findings to do with World War II memoirs outside of the universities. So we did have some shows on campus. We had a preliminary show at the school, the Greek School of Leeds, but the very early shows took place on campus. But then we very quickly taken them out of the campus, the Leeds University campus, and into various museums were nearby. So we went to Royal Armouries in Leeds City Centre, to Eden Camp, which is a prisoner of war camp about an hour away from Leeds. And then we had a couple of shows at York Army Museum in York, a little bit further away. And one of these many performances, the culture attaché of the Cyprus High Commission attended, and he enjoyed, for which reason he invited us to Theatre Technics in London.
That was the reason and how you get, the place at the Theatre Technics, yes?
Yeah, so it started with a Yorkshire tour, if you like, and then we extended the tour to London. The Yorkshire tour was timed to coincide with the 80th anniversary of what's called Victory in Europe Day, which was on the 8th of May 2025. So we had a show on the 3rd of May, then I think it was 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th of May. We capitalized on that 1 week. And then obviously the addition of the 18th of July London show was to coincide with the Cyprus Festival.
Yeah, it was very well staged, and congratulations for both of you. And did you manage, to get a professional actor to play the main part? Did you have auditions? You auditioned many people to choose the one you think it was the right one to do it.
Yes, we auditioned actors mostly from London, and they came to Leeds for a rather very demanding audition. The audition was a workshop of 2 hours where both Cristiana and myself attended. And what we did is tried out scenes from the text, and we just wanted to see how well we can work with the performer, how quickly they were able to absorb the language and the style of the directorial vision, but also how they were able to tell the story. As you have seen, it's a storytelling exercise.
Yeah.
So it's about sharing 25 stories in exciting, moving, and heartbreaking ways with the audience. So we wanted somebody who was able to really communicate, and our performer, Stylianos Thomadakis, was able to do exactly that. So not only he performed the text with absolute clarity and great communication, but he was also able to inhabit the other characters that conversed with Phylaktis.
Yeah.
So So
he was very good. He was very good, performing and changing from one character to the other. And, this is what we see as an audience. And, I think that was successful. And
So he was really able to do exactly what you just said, to converse with the other characters, and I think that those moments became dialogues as opposed to a monologue with the other characters. And if you remember, we've got Birtas and several other characters that he performed with such clarity and detail.
Yeah, that was very well performed. So, what is your future plans? What are the future plans? I mean, as you said at the beginning, before we start, you are interested to, find people that might be, wanted to, invite you to perform it somewhere else, so what are the plans?
Well, we've so far performed the show, I think it's been 14 times, 6 venues, about 570 audience members, but we're not done. We think it needs more of an audience. We think we're very happy to share it, and every time, what was particularly heartening, after every single performance, audience members approach us and they're dying to share their own parent and grandparent stories. They're telling us how much they were touched by what they saw. And it's a show that seems to be generating interesting conversations about family connections, the need not to think of elderly people in one's family as a burden. They need to talk to them and appreciate the wisdom and the stories that they have to share. We feel that it's a show that can generate intergenerational connections and conversations. But it also has much to show us about the importance not only of making sense, finding lessons, but also resilience. Here is a man who was captured for 4 years, really suffered in that period of life, but nevertheless found positive messages to communicate to his own children and grandchildren in for decades after. So we feel that there's important messages. As for the future of the show, I don't know if George would like to jump in at this point.
Yeah, I think we would really like the show to go to a lot of the community centres of the Greek Cypriot diaspora in the UK. I think the fact that it's in the English language, it would be able to talk to everybody and the second generation as well, especially the younger audience members. But I think it would be really important for this work to go also to the diaspora outside the UK, whether it's in the States, whether it's in Sweden, whether it's in Germany. I think this is an opportunity where we can share those stories in a way which does decolonize the traditional canon and also offers us an opportunity to connect. We find that immediately after the show, people approach us and the actor to talk about their own families, their own experiences.
Yeah.
They send us things. People have been writing to Cristiana with additional memoirs, and Cristiana now is researching those new memoirs, making comparisons. So the research is so active and alive. And we feel that by sharing this work further, it will add to those stories and also give the voice to other people as well to share their own grandparents' stories during the war. So, yes, I think this is just the beginning. We were very lucky that the Larry Institute at the University of Leeds gave us the opening for this work to have impact. And it has been having great impact. And I think the warm reception we had at the Theatrotechnis was something unbelievable. The audience there and the discussions afterwards made us think that this really needs to go further.
Yeah. So do you think might be an opportunity for you to think about, putting other people's stories together and extend it and, have more, characters in it, telling more stories?
we are very open. So I think with the next commission, the show might become from 30 minutes, 40, 45. But then I think we're very open in the future of including other stories as well. And Cristiana is, I think, Cristiana, I don't know if you want to talk a bit more about the comparisons that you're making right now with the war memoirs.
Yes, absolutely. One of the interesting things about these stories, once you look into them and once you explore the sources that these memoirists use, is that you'll find that they are shared. These stories are not necessarily individual, personal, or unique, if you like. They're actually collective stories. They're shared stories. So some of the stories my grandfather wrote about in his memoirs actually originated from books that he read, even though he was there in the same stalags at the same time. And you do find that with his sources as well. There's for example, two books that I came across among his belongings, one that was published in the 80s and one that was published in the late 40s. And you'll find the same incident getting retold in those two books. So what you'll find is that these stories are actually passed on from memoirist to memoirist, and finding those connections and also witnessing the changes that take place with retelling is interesting. What you might recall from the performance is that there were some interventions that I made during the performance, which I later talked about in the lecture bit, the short intervention at the end, which explain why it is that we tell these stories, where they originate from, and why they are retold, how they change, and so forth. We, in our turn, had to change some stories to make them appropriate for the audience and for the stage. Much like these memoirists borrowing other people's stories, if you like, did the same.
Very interesting. So if someone is listening, communities or other people are interested to, put on a performance, how they can go about it? I mean, do they have to get in touch with you, and how they can find you?
Yeah, so both George and I are available through the University of Leeds website. You can find our emails there. But if you make your way to the project page, which is Impact Acceleration Account, IAA, and either my surname or George's surname, it will take you directly to the project website. And that project website lists a lot of details about the project. You'll find the program of the play, you'll find the trailer, you'll even find a recording of a 20-minute performance you might want to watch, but also our emails are on there as well. So if anyone is interested in hosting the play in their own venue, either here or abroad, by all means, email one of us and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you, Cristiana, separately. I mean, you have any plans, your own plans?
Well, in terms of in terms of my own plan, I need to finish the book that I'm working on. So I'm writing a book which is contracted with Palgrave on, as I said, language and life narrativization in World War II memoirs, a stylistic perspective. So I need to complete that by the end of next year. So academically speaking, I need to analyze other people's memoirs and complete the book. But I'm also quite keen on the idea of generating a film or a documentary out of these accounts. So maybe potentially taking them out of the stage and into other media. So I'm in conversations with various film directors and script writers. So if anyone is interested in reading the whole of the memoir, I can send them a copy. If anyone is interested in the possibility of writing a script or taking this onto the small or big screen, please get in touch. I'm more than happy to discuss those possibilities.
You're talking about based on the book?
Yes, it could be something that's based on some of these stories, or it could be something that is inspired by these stories. It doesn't necessarily have to be tied to this specific man's experiences. But I think that there's a lot to these stories, and if one reads the whole of the memoir, which is available actually, and I can send them a copy of it, they might be inspired to help me take it to the small screen or the big screen.
Very interesting, very interesting. I think might be people around like scriptwriters, or might be people who are filmmakers, they might be interested. I'm sure about that because it's plenty, to do with that. You know what I mean? So, George, do you have any plans separately? Like what do you have in mind, for the future?
I'm currently working on 2 articles. One is on hand choreography in musicals and how to use hands in musical theater, and the other one is an analysis of a film that I directed called Queenies. But in the next year, I will be directing a new musical and also a new version of a Greek tragedy at the University of Leeds. So life goes on, but this project is always there, and I'm thinking about developments, changements, enhancements. And I think something we didn't mention is that the London show was a revised version. So it included 5 news stories, 5 really Cypriot centric stories for the London audiences, and I think that this new version is even more dynamic than the earlier versions that we had, because obviously we used all of the facilities at the Theatrotechnis, the lighting and the sound to the full extent to create something that I hope it was memorable, but also very much impactful for the audiences who watched it.
Yeah, perhaps I should just jump in to explain as well that there were some restrictions that we had to work with when it came to the Yorkshire tour. Part of our audience were students of primary and secondary schools, so we couldn't really dramatize the stories that entailed violence or had romance that the young audience was perhaps not ready for, not mature enough for. So what we could do with the London show was actually tell those stories that we were unable to share with the student audiences back in May. So again, similarly, we're happy to make adjustments to relate to the audience depending on the audience's needs. Once we know who the audience is.
Yeah, might be. Yeah, you are right. You can do that because might be some because you have so many schools in London, Greek schools and all this kind of thing. There might be, with the schools interested to, give them a chance to bring it down and perform it. But as you say, you can, make changes and make it more suitable for the young audience, kids and all this kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We already have a version which is suitable for younger audiences, so that would be very easy to revisit and share that one. Yes.
Yeah. Also, the school performance was limited in terms of time. It had to stick with 20-25 minutes because of that younger audiences, perhaps a shorter attention span. And that's what essentially the venues wanted us to stick with. But the performance in London was 1 hour long because it contained a lecture, talk not only from Marios, but also from George, an introduction, and obviously the longer version of the monologue in between with the added stories.
Yes. Well, I can tell you, I enjoy both of your lectures, and I enjoy the play. It was something, which I didn't know and I never experienced before. And congratulations for that. And I wish you all the best for the future anyway. And if I hear anybody who is interested to bring the play to London again, I will get in touch with you. And I think might be a possibility. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So in this case, I have to say a big thank you for giving us a chance to, find out more about yourselves and about the play. And I wish you all the best for the future.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And I have to say a big thank you to my sponsor, Mr. Melisouris, and the 2 homes, Anastasia Loch and Otton Wartens, and to my audience, me and you, we are together again next Sunday, the same time with a new Face of Faces. Have a good night. Thank you very much. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.